So in this video, we're going to be discussing hairlines. So I'm Dr. Ahmad from Juvida clinics. So in terms of hairline, the vast majority of people that we see that are looking for hair transplant, it tends to be trying to bring back the hairline, possibly to where it was, but possibly not. The other types of hair transplant we typically do is the crown, sometimes the mid-scalp, but the vast majority of patients that we'll see have receded. So the hairline either has completely receded or most commonly, there's a little bit of preservation of this anterior midpoint here and it's receding into the sides. So for most patients, the hairline is trying to maybe make the hairline look the way it was. So if this bit has remained, the anterior midpoint, it's just a matter of filling in these temporal areas here. It's not that straightforward in terms of connecting the dots. It's a matter of drawing the hairline. How the hairline is drawn, we'd like to really get your input and we want you to be happy obviously with the end result. So the hairline is very much down to yourself. We'll offer our own advice, guide you, but essentially the end sort of decision is yours. Very rarely will we ever say we're not sure about that or we don't think that's the case, but there will be some instances where if someone wants a very unusual hairline, we might have to really sort of guide them, but otherwise generally it's kind of what you hope for, what you wish. In terms of the hairline, there's different ways of doing it. So normally it's just a matter of filling in the temporal areas, as I said. That can be achieved in various ways. So if this is the midpoint, normally we provide a little bit of curvature to the hairline. Most hairlines will be slightly receded at the front, so that's the hairline that we'd have. We wouldn't want a sort of a straight line all the way across. That would be an unnatural and unusual hairline. And some people prefer just it going straight back. Sometimes people sort of prefer where it sort of flares downwards a little bit. There's different ways, but often when people come in, either in the consultation or certainly on the day of the transplant, we sit you down, have a bit of a chat, consultation, discuss the hair transplant in a bit more detail, and then of course spend that time going through the hairline. So that can take about 5, 10, sometimes even up to 15 minutes to make sure that you're happy. So we draw the hairline, make sure that it's equal on both sides. We want it to look symmetrical. It doesn't need to look like it's being absolutely, computer generated. Often a natural hairline will be ever so slightly asymmetrical, but we don't want it obviously wonky or anything like that. So that can take a little bit of time to make sure that you're happy, to make sure that we're happy. And then once we are happy, we draw the hairline perfectly with a surgical pen marker, take some pictures, and then once you're happy with that, then we proceed further. A couple of things alongside that in terms of the hairline. If people are, if the hairline has receded, so not just into the sides, but the whole thing, we then have to decide, well, where do we start the hairline from? You don't want a very tiny little forehead. That will give it a natural appearance. Generally speaking, we make sure that there's at least 7 centimeters between this point, which is anatomically known as the glabella, and the anterior midpoint. So that should be about 7 centimeters at the minimum. It can be more, it can be 8, 9, 10 centimeters even, but certainly we don't want to bring it down too much. That will give it a natural appearance. And in terms of the rest of it, as I said, it will be guided by you, but we can always draw a few different possibilities to get to the point where you're happy and satisfied with the hairline that we've come up with.